Guys, Speedweeks are officially over. It was like an Oreo cookie. On either side, you had a wreck fest, and in the middle, you had a race where everybody did their job and knew what to do coming down to the wire to finish the race. We had a first time winner on two series, and on the main series, you had a guy who I'm going to bring up the question later of his future credentials. My name's Chris, and this is the first of 37 straight weeks of the C&J Speedway Review. Welcome back, everybody, to the C&J Speedway Review, the first of 2019, where actual point racing took place. It was a demolition derby on two circuits, and in the middle came a race where everybody paid attention, did their job, and drove straight forward. My name is Chris Burns from the Loki and Jabroni Show, the C&J Speedway Review, my journey with music. We're going to talk all about that, but what I want to do right now is bring the man in across the screen from me. He's the king of stats and Red Sox hats. He is a NASCAR boy and Chelsea's toy. He's Mr. Co-host to all of you. He is the man of the up-to-the-minute racing news, and as of last week, he is charged and guilty of gimmick infringement. He is Corey Huffnagel. Corey, tell me you're doing okay tonight.
So please tell me I'm not charged with infringement, but I don't see your MRN shirt too, you know.
Oh, no, you're right. You know why? Because I don't have one. Now, the MRN bit that we have done for almost 2 years now has been one of Charlotte in 2015 with the Eternal Flame and the Goddess of Love upstairs. We rented the headphones. We got the microphone gimmick so we can talk to each other and not have to go, what? What? So we got the microphone bit, but we're listening to the radio feed. And of course, when they go to commercials, like, you're listening to MRN, the voice of NASCAR. So that became like a running gag between us. So I brought it to this show. I gave full credit to Angela. What does Corey do? Him and Chelsea go out and get MRN t-shirts, and nobody thinks of the guy who brought it to the table. So as of right now, the lawyers are working hard right now to charge you with gimmick infringement. My law firm of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe are working overtime to make sure that I get the compensation I deserve. I can't call Marquis Salamone. I can't call Morelli. I can't call any of those guys. I went to Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. And Corey, you and Chelsea will pay up.
Sure, we will pay up.
Anyway, how are you doing this week?
Well, I'm doing pretty great. As much as I was excited about Daytona this past weekend, it was a really great weekend. Yeah, you were right. It was pretty much a crash fest on Friday night and then Sunday as well. And but we saw a lot of great racing, and it's going to be very interesting to see what the Cup Series new aero package is going to do for Sunday in Atlanta. And honestly, nobody knows, and nobody knows what this package is going to do, and we don't even know what the racing is going to be like on Sunday. But I'm definitely going to take a big eye on it and see how it is. And if NASCAR hits a home run with this new package, which of course they were testing at Las Vegas a couple weeks ago, I think this is going to be the package for 2020 and beyond.
Absolutely. And the beauty of it is, obviously they don't bring the package to Daytona. They will, going forward when we go back in July. However, leaving the cars as is for that first race of the season was just perfect. Now we go to Atlanta this coming Sunday, and the aero package, Atlanta's already a fast track. It's slick, it's fast. It's not a crash fest like Daytona Talladega, but you do have some major wreckage when you go to Atlanta. I want to see, not only the speed that these cars are going to carry in Atlanta, which usually tops about 195, 200, but how the cars are going to handle. Yes, they did the test at Las Vegas. It is basically a sister track on the west coast of Atlanta, but the difference between Las Vegas speed and Atlanta speed, and I don't know in the engineering what the difference is. Atlanta is always faster. So let's see what the new aero package has to offer next week. And then when we go into our picks, that's going to be a big proving ground as we go forward.
Well, then not to mention Atlanta hasn't been repaved in a really long time, and certainly swell enough. Tire wear is also going to be a key at this weekend also, and of course, everybody's all going to be wanting tires, on every pit stop there is.
Sure, and that's some of the beauty of the older tracks, and I think that repaves are sometimes the devil. I don't want to sound like Bobby Boucher's mama here, but repaves are the devil. But when you repave a track, you change the character of the track. Yeah. When people went to Darlington, and I'm going as far back as my last trip to Darlington in 2001, it was still the same gritty, hard, tire-eating surface that you saw for years and years and years. And somewhere around 2004, they repaved.
I think it was 2008.
You might be right.
Yeah.
But it changed the complexion of the racing until a couple years ago. Now the pavement is getting older, it's getting grittier, the stones are coming up. You see people with tire issues all the way around. Clean I-395, whatever. I don't want to see highway driving. I want to see fast, hard racing. You race on the surface that's in front of you. If there's a problem like with Daytona back in 2010 or 11, thank you, where a piece of the track came up, yes, a repave is in order. But if your track's not coming up in chunks, don't repave the surface. Let the guys go out there and do their business on the tracks that not only they grew up watching and grew up racing on, but it adds that little bit of it separates the men from the boys, if you will.
Right.
All right. So, Corey, before we go into whatever news you have, I want to remind everybody, please go to anchor.fm/CJ Speedway Review and leave comments, leave questions, leave a review, and also check out some of our sponsors and help the show out in any way you can. We will mention this once again at the end of the show. That's anchor.fm/CJ Speedway Review. And I've got some big news on the horizon, and I'm going to let it out now. We're going to have another three-headed monster in the next, say, 4 to 6 weeks, because Joey Ternullo, Connecticut racing champion, is coming back, and he's going to do the weekly gimmick with us and have a good time.
Joey!
Notes or other things? Yes, let's give big ups to Joey.
Joey!
I'm going to see a lot. I'm going to see a lot more of Joey in the coming weeks and months. I won't say why until Joey comes back, but it's always good to have Joey Ternullo be a part of the C&J Speedway Review family. What news do you have for us before we dive into Daytona?
All right, so the big news that's coming out right now, and this is probably a big question for you guys. So, is Denny Hamlin a future Hall of Famer for the NASCAR Hall of Fame?
Oh, stop. Do you see this? I had a whole thing printed out for the end of the show about if Denny Hamlin is a Hall of Famer. You've blown it. I quit. No, actually, go ahead. I have an argument, but I really want to hear what you say.
I think I read your mind, which I probably second guessed on that. But if
gimmick infringement twice in 1 week, you're killing me.
Wow, and this is pretty much the part that I don't think I haven't been charged yet. But no, I mean, if you look at Denny Hamlin's career, I mean, it's been pretty impressive. I mean, he's finished second in points a couple of times, and let's face it. I mean, he's won 2 Daytona 500s. He's won the Southern 500 twice. And looking at his career stats, he has 32 career wins, 143 top 5s, and 236 top 10s. And right now, his average finish is a 13.9. So the most wins that he had in a single season was back in 2010 when he ended up winning 8 races, finished 14 top 5s, 18 top 10s, finished second in points, and an average finish that season was a 12.9. So I kind of think about it, and do I think Denny Hamlin's a Hall of Famer? I mean, considering the fact that Davey Allison made it to the Hall of Fame, even though he won a Daytona 500 but not a championship, I would probably say if Hamlin, wins a championship, or if he wins a lot more races down the road, I mean, I would probably give him that Hall of Fame nod. I mean, he's had a really good career. I mean, he's done pretty good for Joe Gibbs, and I see a lot of good things out of this 11 team, not only this year, but like pretty much what he can do in the future and beyond.
All right, here's what I'm going to say, and I don't want to disrespect anybody who rooted for this man back in the day. But if Mark Martin is a Hall of Famer, then easily Denny Hamlin is a Hall of Famer. That's not to disparage Mark Martin. Look, Mark Martin was he was amazing. He was the cleanest, nicest driver you ever want to battle against. Right behind me, if you can see it, is the Kevin Harvick and Mark Martin battle for the 2007 Daytona 500. He didn't bump Harvick. Yes, they ran door to door, but he wasn't dirty. He never won a championship. He won all sorts of races on the Cup Series and on the Xfinity Series, back then the Busch Series, further the Nationwide Series, etc., so forth. Again, the name changes kill me every single time. But Mark Martin is a Hall of Famer. When I saw this story earlier today on, I think it was Fox News that I was looking at, I had to ask myself, is Denny Hamlin an honest Hall of Famer? And my answer was immediately, I didn't even have to think about it, yes. If Hamlin's career finished tomorrow, Denny Hamlin's in the Hall of Fame. And you brought up Davey Allison. One name you didn't bring up was Alan Kulwicki, he who won a championship and then several months later died in a horrific helicopter accident.
Yeah.
Both men, obviously, Davey Allison too, died in a aviation accident. No one knows what Alan Kulwicki or Davey Allison could have achieved had they lived. Everybody points to Dale Earnhardt. Dale Earnhardt passed away in the Daytona 500 in that horrific crash, turned 4 in the 2001 Daytona 500. He had already won 7 championships. He had already won 79 races. He was already, if there had Dale Earnhardt and Richard Petty, would have been 1-2 walking in through the door and cementing what the NASCAR Hall of Fame has become. Now you look at Allison and Kulwicki. Yes, they deserve it. Davey Allison was rising fast, and he was rising huge. Davey Allison had a Jeff Gordon-like trajectory in his career, and then it was cut. Alan Kulwicki, not so much the same, but he was a one-car operation, self-funded, won a championship, and then unfortunately never got to defend it because of the aviation accident. Those guys are in. I get it. Denny Hamlin deserves to be a Hall of Famer. No questions asked.
Right.
Well, thank you for that drop, and it was amazing. And once again, gimmick infringement, because I had the story. I was going to save it to the end. However, blown out of the water by Stat Boy himself. Anyway, guys, what a wild weekend at Daytona that we saw. And we're going to start with the Truck Series. Austin Hill walks away with the victory. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, his first ever victory on the Gander Outdoor Truck Series. Yeah. Corey, am I lying?
No, it was his first career win in the Truck Series.
Okay, excellent. Here's the problem I had with the truck race. I mean, I listened to the first half of it on the way home on the NASCAR. And who I'm not going to do the gimmick because Corey stole it and he's currently being sued for gimmick infringement. However, when I got home, I would say 90% of the field is still running. By the end of the race, guys, 9 trucks were on the track. 9. Think about this. 32 trucks started the race. 9 finished the race. It was a demolition derby in the second half of the race. Corey, you watched it just as well as I did. What did you see and what went wrong?
Well, I probably say that, if you watch the race on Friday night, of course it was a wreck fest, and I had to say, with 9 trucks finishing the race, I mean, Darrell Waltrip, I had to say, put it best. Expect the unexpected, because you never know what's going to happen at Daytona and Talladega every single year. I want to go back to the big crash that took out a lot of good guys, including Brett Moffitt, who won the championship last year, and also Sheldon Creed, which, of course, we call Apollo Creed.
Apollo!
See, Chris won't accept the fact that his name is Sheldon, but I'm watching so I'm going to watch the video on YouTube just right now. So they're going to show the replay right here. So if you look at it, you see Sheldon Creed. He's coming up on the high side, and then here comes Jordan Anderson. He tries to tuck in with the 2 truck of Sheldon Creed. Next thing you know, he taps the 3 hits the wall. Then next thing you know, a lot of trucks get collected because they either got checked up or they just couldn't avoid the wreck in time. But it just goes to show you that, when you go to Daytona and Talladega, you always have to expect the unexpected. But I have to say, and this is another one that I have to take away of, the fact that Hattori Racing got their first win after winning the championship last year with a different driver. And when I actually kind of questioned, why they picked Austin Hill, at the beginning of the season, I kind of thought, all right, I really want to see what this kid can do, but I don't think I don't expect him to win right away. And I have to tell you this, he had a phenomenal truck on Friday. I mean, he did the blocks, he did everything that he had to do to win the race. And now that he ended up winning on Friday night, I just kind of thought to myself, and I said, Hattori Racing, they could be a one to watch this season. Now, I don't know how many wins I do expect them to win, but I would probably say I could probably see him maybe get 3 wins or so during the season. But phenomenal run for Austin Hill, and another guy that I also want to give my congrats to is definitely Ross Chastain. I mean, here's a kid that was going to get a full-time ride for Chip Ganassi, and then of course, their team shuts down, and of course, he ends up getting a full-time ride for both Collie Racing and JD Motorsports, and here he is driving for Nice Motorsports, driving in it for a 3rd place finish, which I thought that was great for him. But you just look at all the guys that got taken out. There were guys like Todd Gilliland, Harrison Burton, Brett Moffitt, Stuart Friesen, David Gilliland. I mean, just think about it. That crash and the big crash at the second stage took out a lot of great contenders.
Yes, and again, I go back to this because never, and I say never, in 40 years of watching racing have I ever seen only 9 vehicles on the track when the race ends. This was a shot to my system. I was floored. I was texting you. I was texting my buddy Lee in Louisiana. I was texting my buddy Chad in Indiana, all race fans. I'm like, have you ever seen this? And they're like, nope, not in my lifetime. This was historical for all the wrong reasons. Now, I'm going to go back to Ross Chastain, and you blew him up as, he finished 3rd in the truck race. Fantastic for him. Now, if you go to the Xfinity Series, and I don't want to, we do this as we break them. 3rd in the truck race. He's 13th in the Xfinity race. He finishes 10th in the Cup race. He had a fantastic weekend. If there's an MVP right now, and if we could stamp it and say, who's the Daytona MVP? Right there, Ross Chastain. Ran his heart out, and on all 3 series, did exactly what he was out there to do. Run, get the best finish you can, and make a name for yourself. So good on him. But the commentary I have is, I don't know what it is about the truck drivers, and we'll talk about the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series in just a little bit. When do you, in your mind, Corey, say, when did the truck drivers and the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series drivers lose their minds and forget what it takes to get to victory lane and start all of these horrendous crashes?
Uh, I would just have to say that, gee, that is a tough one if you think about it.
Well, we'll put it out to the people. If any of you guys want to chime in on the Facebook page, C&J Speedway Review, at what point do you think these drivers forgot that the goal is to finish with a car, A, that is intact, and B, finish as high as you can? When we get to the happies and sads of this truck race, my happy is going to be obvious. My sad is going to be just out the window. But any other commentary you want to put on the Nextra Energy 250?
Well, I'd probably say the guys that won the two stages in this race were pretty much Sheldon Creed and Johnny Sauter, and of course Johnny's first ride with Thorough Sport Racing, and first time in a long time, ends up coming home, I believe, in 23rd. So bad night for him, but I do expect him to run pretty good this year, along with the other Thorough Sport drivers as well.
All right. Well, I'm going to run through the finishing order, and then we'll go to our happies and sads, and then the picks for the truck race. Obviously, Austin Hill comes away your winner in first. Grant Enfinger second, Ross Chastain third, Spencer Boyd fourth, and Matt Crafton was fifth. Josh Rayone sixth, Timothy Peters seventh. Help me with this last name, Angela Ruck?
Yeah.
All right. Well, her name's Angela, so she can't be that bad.
Eh.
Big shout out to the Eternal Flame and the Goddess of Love. Finished eighth. Austin Wayne Self ninth, and Stuart Friesen rounds out your top 10. Other notables as I go down the list: David Gilliland finished 13th, Ben Rhodes 14th, Joe Nemechek, front row Joe, finished 16th. Apollo Don't Call Me Sheldon Creed finished 17th, Harrison Burton 18th, Todd Gilliland 19th, Myatt Snyder 21st, Christian Eckes 22nd, Johnny Sauter 23rd, Brendan Poole 24th, Jordan Anderson in that 3 truck, who I don't think was necessarily guilty of starting that wreck, but when you look at the replay, he certainly did look like he started that wreck. 25th, Brett Moffitt 26th, and let's go all the way down to 32nd. I did some research on Natalie Decker. There's an up-and-comer that, forget Danica Patrick. Natalie Decker is the real deal.
I do agree as well.
All right, so now we go to the point standings in the truck series. Austin Hill leads the way in first, Grant Enfinger second, Spencer Boyd third, Stuart Friesen fourth, and Austin Wayne Self fifth. Matt Crafton sixth, Josh Rayome seventh. I like saying that name, Rayome. David Gilliland eighth, Ben Rhodes ninth, and Timothy Peters is 10th. We're going to give you the next 6. Sheldon Creed, Apollo is 11th, Angela Ruck 12th, Clay Greenfield 13th, Bobby Gerhart 14th, Johnny Sauter 15th, and Myatt Snyder 16th. Before we go into the picks, give me a happy and give me a sad for this race.
Now, this one's going to be kind of creative, but so my happy and my sad are pretty much both female. And
wow, go you.
And so
hashtag you too.
Oh geez, let's not start that. But anyways, so my happy is gonna have to go to Angela Ruck. And honestly, like, I was really impressed, that she finished 8th at Daytona. And actually, I was kind of surprised that, she was driving one of the Nemechek trucks, which of course, John Hunter, drove this truck last year and won at Martinsville and a couple times and so forth. So yeah, great run for Angela Ruck. And it was kind of funny because she was driving like in the back the whole entire time, because I think she wanted to avoid like all the wrecks and stuff. And then I would say, like, once, like, there was like 9 trucks that like were still running, I kind of thought to myself, well, maybe she should probably go near the front if she wants to win the race, or if she just wants to play conservative whatsoever. My sad, obviously, of course, is going to have to go to Natalie Decker. I really wanted to see a lot out of her on Friday. I really thought she was going to have a great one. And of course, a big little mishap, she runs over debris, and then of course she cuts down an oil line, and the right front of the truck caught on fire, and luckily she got out okay. And disappointing run for this team. But I hope she does. I hope she does really well the next race. And like I said, I'm going to take a good eye on her and see how she does this year. And I think she's got full potential. Now, I don't think she's going to be like Danica Patrick wise, but I really think she's got the talent, and I'm really interested to see what she does this year.
I think in the case of both Angela Ruck and Natalie Decker, if you bring them up the right way through the trucks, through Xfinity, and then graduate them to the Cup Series, you will have drivers that know so hard through Nationwide back then, and then onto the Cup Series. She didn't have a damn clue.
Mm-hmm.
She did not have a clue. She just got in the car and drove real fast. Well, the problem is she took out a bunch of racers in the process. We won't get into that. I already have a problem with Danica haters coming at me, wanting me dead, and that's all well and good. My happy, when you lead the most laps at Daytona, which is a proving ground for anybody, when you get your first win at Daytona, that is something either you're going to carry on to championships going forward, or you're going to be a Derek Cope and just be field filler. So I'm going to give my happy to Austin Hill. He led the most laps, wins the race with Hattori Racing, which we all thought was a lame duck coming out of last year. But obviously, I'm going to go back to your post a couple days ago on a Speedway. Hattori Racing has to be considered an early favorite for the championship in November. Only because they chose the right guy at the right time. He finished the right race in first place. And that's where my happy goes, Austin Hill. I have two sads. My first sad is obviously going to go to Apollo. Sheldon Creed finishes 17th. He led the second most amount of laps. He was really, really strong throughout that race. Unfortunately, a wreck takes him out. He only finishes 98 out of 111 laps. It was a tough day for him. Now, if you really want my big sad, imagine this. Imagine you're a race car driver and you finish in the money, which in all of these three series that we talk about, the points pay 10th to 1st. You collected your championship point with a mangled vehicle behind the wall. You got to sit there and somebody tells you, hey, Stewart, you got 10th place and you got a championship point. My second set goes to Stuart Friesen. There's no reason this race should have been as crash-marred as it was. However, it was. Stuart Friesen had to collect his championship point from behind the wall. That had to be demoralizing for not only him, but for his entire team.
But hopefully this year, Stuart Friesen could have a breakout year, because I think he finished second, I believe, like 5 times this season. But I'm really interested to see what he does to that 52 team.
Oh, absolutely. That team was strong last year, and it's going to be strong this year. But now we go to the picks. This year, it means something. Points, points, points. Chris versus Corey. Now we go to the picks. Corey took Johnny Sauter as his lock. Johnny Sauter finished 23rd. He took David Gilliland as his sleeper. He finished 23rd. That is a total of... Oh, I did the math wrong. Look at me. All right, I got to do some shucking and jiving. Look, at the end of the day, Corey won this race. We got 36, which if you divide that, it's 18. So I pencil whipped you, but I didn't because I admitted it. I took Brett Moffitt as my lock. He finished 26th. I took Todd Gilliland as my sleeper. He finished 19th. You add that up, you get 45. My finish was a 22.5. So the first point of the 2019 season goes to Mr. Corey Huffnagel.
Thank you.
Which we will rescind because he is guilty of gimmick infringement, and no points going forward will count. No, I'm kidding. But, Corey, you got the point for the truck race. Now, we move on. The Xfinity Series ran on Saturday the 16th, and Michael Annett collect his Xfinity Series win. It was a great race. It was, for the most part, clean all the way through. Did you find this to be a boring race, or were you like me saying this is what Daytona should be?
Well, I kind of look at it, and the night before, and I probably say like the day after the truck race, I have to say that almost everybody watched the truck race the night before the Xfinity race and thought, all right, maybe we should probably play conservative and, try not to, you know, do anything stupid. But watching this race on Saturday, I mean, yeah, there was a few exciting moments, but I had to say, like, the only thing that kind of disappointed me the most was the racing, because I thought I was going to see a lot of like side by side racing, but we mostly saw a lot of single file the whole entire race. And there was times where, a driver would pull down on the bottom and, he would tell the guys like, let's go, let's form a pack. Let's try and make it up to the front. But the problem is everybody wanted to stay on top the most of the race. And I just kind of questioned myself thinking like, I don't know why, they had everybody stay on the top, but I'm happy to see Michael Annett, get his first win. And for a guy that's been in the Xfinity Series for almost like 8 years, and it kind of surprised me the most because I remember when Annett started at Xfinity, I think he was racing for Rusty Wallace at the time. And then of course he drove, I think 1 year for Richard Petty's Xfinity team. Then he was in the Cup Series for like 2 years, didn't do that great. And then he goes to Junior Motorsports. Doesn't do great the first 2 seasons, I want to say. And then he has this breakout win at Daytona. And I thought to myself, the fact that they won the championship last year with Tyler Reddick, it just puts a statement saying that, Junior Motorsports, again, is going to be really strong this year. Not only Annett winning the race, but you also have Justin Allgaier finishing second. You have Noah Gragson, who I thought had a really good car, finishing in 11th. And then, of course, Chase Elliott driving the 8 car along with several other drivers. Apparently, Chase finished, I believe, in 10th. So, yeah, it just goes to show you that, this is basically a preview of what we're going to see in Xfinity this year. And I think Junior Motorsports is going to dominate. But another one that I want to take away of has to be the new Toyota Supra. And they did a really good job this weekend. You had Brandon Jones, who finished in 3rd. You had Christopher Bell finishing in 6th. Now, when they announced that they were going to have the Supra, I kind of thought, well, it kind of looks like a sports car type of vehicle, like, like how you see like in the IMSA Rolex series. But that also proved me wrong too. And, and they did really well in the Xfinity race on Saturday. And I do expect, the Supra to run really well this season. And I do expect, and I probably say the only team that I think the Supra is going to win first would have to be Joe Gibbs. And I look at Brandon Jones right now, and for him to finish 3rd, I thought that was really impressive.
Absolutely. There's not a person I can look at in this finishing field, or the starting field, as it were, that I don't know. The whole Xfinity race impressed me. It really did. Yes, there were crashes. Yes, there were minor bumps in the road, but this was it was the cleanest race of the weekend. And that's what I want. I want to see more cars finish than less cars. Again, we go back to the truck series. 9 trucks out of 32 finished that race. That last crash on the truck series, I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but here I go whipping it. They red flagged the race. Everything's being pulled apart. And then when they are coming around turn 4 to start, I'm counting. I'm like, 2, 4, 6. Oh my God, only 9 trucks. The commentators are avoiding it until the green flag drops. Like, well, here are the 9 trucks that are going to, whatever. The Xfinity drivers knew what they were doing. They did it right. I was impressed. Thank you to them. I was just happy to see Michael Annett in victory lane. Really high-profile teams quite got the job done. Whatever it was, I think he used his talents to the best of his ability to get to the front, and now he's a championship contender going forward.
And also, if you think about it, and one thing I also want to take away is Colleague Racing, did a really great job this weekend. Even though Ross Chastain and Justin Haley ended up finishing 13th and 17th, respectively, they ended up winning the first 2 stages in this race. So this one also goes to show you that Colleague Racing, I think, is also going to be fun to watch too, and especially with Chastain being in that second car. But Justin Haley, I do expect a lot of great expectations out of him this year, and hopefully he can get his first win as well.
Do you think that I'm looking down the list and we have a lot of guys, and oh my lord, when I look at number 7, we're gonna have some fun with this.
Mm.
When you look at these guys, who do you see as the biggest breakout performer that's going to come out in 2019?
I would have to say my driver to watch for a breakout performer this year would definitely have to be Noah Gragson.
Okay, why?
Well, if you think about it, he raced in the Truck Series the last 2 years for Kyle Busch Motorsports, and let's be honest, I mean, he has the talent. I mean, yes, he should have won more races, last year and the year before that, but it's actually kind of funny if you think about it. Whenever there's a driver that goes from like the Truck Series to Xfinity, I could probably say, one guy that was successful, was William Byron. Raced in the Truck Series for Kyle Busch Motorsports, won 6 races, and then he goes to the Xfinity Series, drives for Dale Jr. and wins the championship. But I'd have to say that, I think with Noah Gragson, I think he's going to bring a lot of talent this year. And, he is a really good driver. And I think he's one of those guys that's committed to win races and, run up front all day. And I think with him driving that 9 car this year and the fact that, the 9 car won the championship last year with Tyler Reddick. Now, I don't expect Gragson to win the championship right away, but I do expect him to have a really great season. Hopefully he can win a couple races and be a championship contender by November.
Maybe one of the names that you missed, and if you go back to the Xfinity Series last year, Christopher Bell made a fantastic transition and won a lot of races. Unfortunately, it didn't move itself to a championship, but Christopher Bell, in my opinion, was the epitome of going up a level, doing yourself. And your silence, I'm not.
Well, I was just gonna say, yeah, I mean, Christopher Bell, he should have won the championship last year. I mean, he literally had the championship won, and he goes to the last race and pretty much falters after that. But yeah, I'm gonna watch him and see how he does this year. But if he doesn't win the championship in year 2, I'm gonna be really surprised.
Oh, you can't saddle him with that. He's got to, everything has to fall into place, as we saw in the last few years on all of these series. Everything has to fall into place, whether your name is Tyler Reddick or Martin Truex Jr. or whomever, Joey Logano. Everything has to fall into place. To put that kind of pressure on Christopher Bell, not quite sure I agree with it, but he has all the talent. He is probably the class of the field as far as the Xfinity Series is concerned. I'll buy it with an option to sell. How's that?
Okay.
All right, so let's go through your finishing order. At the NASCAR Xfinity Series Daytona on February 16th, Michael Annett, obviously first career win. Congratulations to him. Justin Allgaier, 2nd. Brandon Jones, 3rd. Ryan Sieg, 4th. Austin Cindric, 5th. Christopher Bell, 6th. Jeff Green, he of someone I keep picking on every single week last year for finishing 38th and below, found his way to 7th place. Congratulations, Jeff Green, on you for the next 3 weeks. My gift to you. I will probably break that, but we'll find out. John Hunter Nemechek, 8th. Tyler Reddick, 9th. And Chase Elliott rounds out your top 10. Other notables: Noah Gragson, 11th. Chase Briscoe, 12th. Ross Chastain, 13th. Cole Custer, 14th. Jeffrey Earnhardt, 15th. Justin Haley, 17th. The only reason I chose this guy is because I love his name. Ray Black, II, finished 30th. Chris Cockrum finished 31st. Brad Keselowski finished 37th. Corey, I need a happy and I need a sad.
All right, so my happy for this weekend is definitely going to have to go to Jeffrey Earnhardt. I mean, even though he finished in the top 15, stout run, but then yet again, a great run, especially for his debut for Joe Gibbs. And I'm really excited to see what he's going to do in that 18 car. And I'd be really amazed if he wins an Xfinity race for Gibbs. That'd be really pretty cool. My sad would definitely have to go to Brad Keselowski. I mean, one thing I also want to take away from this race is definitely, the roof hatch problem that the 12 team had on Saturday. And, Yes, they tried to fix it numerous amount of times on several pit stops until they decided, all right, why don't we put it behind the wall? We're done for the day. And definitely this is also going to be a car for Team Penske that everyone's going to have to keep their eye on, not only for, well, pretty much for the Owners' Championship this year.
Okay. God, I am going to catch so much crap for this. However, my happy goes to someone that for 30-some weeks last year, I just blasted, lambasted. I did everything but call his mother names that his father was curious about. But he found his way to 7th place. Congratulations, Jeff Green. You are my happy for the week. You basically proved me wrong. You did what I never thought you could do, which is find your way above 30th in the last 18 years. Congratulations, Jeff Green. My sad is actually Corey's happy, is Jeffrey Earnhardt. I thought this kid would be in the top 10. He had a really great car. He looked like he had the moves, not like Jagger, but he looked like he had what it took to get to the front. Unfortunately, middle of the pack is where he ended up. So, Jeffrey Earnhardt, I'm sorry, where Corey thinks you're awesome this week, I feel bad for you. So, Jeff Green just took all your thunder. I'm sorry. And again, you guys, you got to remember laps led and all these other championship points gimmicks add to this. Whereas Michael Annett wins the race, and back in the day, Michael Annett would be number 1. Not so much anymore, because the number 19 of Brandon Jones leads the pack. Ross Chastain 2nd, Michael Annett 3rd. Austin Cindric is 4th in the points. Justin Allgaier 5th. Christopher Bell 6th. Ryan Sieg 7th. John Hunter Nemechek is 8th. Jeffrey Earnhardt 9th. And Tyler Reddick rounds out your top 10. Justin Haley 11th. Noah Gragson 12th. Jeff Green 13th. Jeff Green is 13th in the points. Think about that. In 3 weeks, he's not going to be there. Chase Briscoe 14th. Cole Custer 16th. And Joey Gase, or Gacy, or you know what, John Wayne Gacy. I don't care. That's your top 16 on the Xfinity Series, and what a race it was. That was my favorite race of the weekend. But now, we talk about, in my opinion, future Hall of Famer Denny Hamlin doing everything right. This guy had trouble throughout the race. He had a penalty. He was behind the pack in a lot of this race, but you only have to lead. The most important lap is the last lap. He led 30 throughout the race. However, when you look at it, he led the most important lap and came home with the win in the all-important 61st running of the Daytona 500. Corey, give me your takeaways, and then I'm going to ask you a question about the 4th and 5th place finishers.
Well, I could probably say, for the Daytona 500, I mean, we saw a great race, and of course, we saw the big wreck that took out 22 guys, which took out a lot of great contenders. And but the one thing I also want to take away of, the first stage of the race and the second stage, I thought it was very calm, and I thought the racing was exciting most of the time. And then I thought to myself, all right, so it looks like we're going to see a Daytona 500, with not a lot of cautions, so that auto way will get the race done on time. Well, the third stage, everybody, it was mostly a crash fest like we saw in the truck race on Friday. We had the 22-car wreck, and then we had another wreck, which also, of course, resulted in 2 red flags. And it was also funny, too, because, I had my DVR recorded, right? Now, Chris, I don't know if I told you this, but so I DVR'd the race because I had to work this past weekend. But
okay.
So I extended my DVR to an hour and a half, and I thought to myself, all right, if this misses the finish, I don't know what I'm going to say about it, but it got the finish right on time, and and I thought the finish was good too, and from the way it looks of it, it mostly looked as if it was mostly like Ford and Toyota, because those are the only 2 guys that are pretty fast when it comes to the super speedways, unlike what we saw last year, when we saw all 4 of the Stewart-Haas guys run up front most of the time. And but another one I also want to take away is Ryan Preece. And what a phenomenal job that this kid did on Sunday night. He avoids 2 big wrecks. He avoids 2 wrecks, and there was one wreck where he kind of just sliced right through the middle, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't know how he did that, but man, that was just amazing. And that's what, when you're in the modified series, I think that's what's mostly all about, is when you have those wrecks kind of like that, you just have to slice through the middle sometimes. But man, what a job that he did this past weekend. And another one that I also want to take away is Matt DiBenedetto. Mm-hmm. Now, yes, what a phenomenal job that this kid did. And
Guido.
And this is my only thought of it. So when Levine Family Racing announced they were going to switch to Toyota and that they were going to align with Joe Gibbs Racing, at first I thought, all right, so this is probably going to be the same thing, just like what happened with Furniture Row a few years ago when they merged. Well, I shouldn't say merged, but aligned with Joe Gibbs. And as a result, Furniture Row wins a bunch of races. They won a championship, and then next thing you know, they leave after last year. So now my big question is, I wonder what, Levine Family Racing is going to be this year. Now, I really want to see how this team plays out. And if they run in the top 10 almost every week, and if they run up front most of the time, I think this is going to be a kid that, you're going to have to keep your eye on all season because, let's face it, Levine Family Racing is not really the best ride, but then yet again, it's not the worst ride. So he's in an average team, but I can see a lot of big potential things out of this team this year, especially with Toyota. And now that they have that Joe Gibbs alliance, don't be surprised if that 95 team runs really well all week.
We started this in 2017, and I almost had to explain why I dig Matt DiBenedetto as much as I do. Because in 2015, when we go to Charlotte, myself and the Eternal Flame and the Goddess of Love upstairs, Matt DiBenedetto was that guy, the guy. You're just like, well, he's nobody. Let's kind of give him a little yay. He's proven himself. A year later, he finishes 6th at Bristol. Yeah. He keeps climbing. He never had the best equipment. He was in one of those, what we call, underfunded teams. To watch Matt DiBenedetto lead 49 laps, the most laps of anybody in the race, there was a smile on my face a mile wide. And if Corey's going to tell the truth for once in his life and not claim gimmick infringement, how many texts did I send you saying, dude, it's Guido. I'm in this. Matt DiBenedetto, let's do this. Yes, I'm a Kevin Harvick fan. Look, I got the hat, I got the shirt, I got all the gimmicks. But, man, to see that kid slice that field, and then when he got to the front, he did not let it go. When he dropped back, he kept fighting forward, and then he got caught up in one of the wrecks toward the end. Yeah. I was on the 95 train like nobody's business. And Corey, if he's telling the truth, will tell you that, yes, I was waving the flag for Matt DiBenedetto.
I do agree as well.
All right. Now, we missed the picks for the Xfinity race. We'll get to that when we get through the Daytona 500 running order. Because, yes, guys, there is a winner this week. Wah, wah, wah. And I'll tell you who it's not. The guy who's reading the list. Denny Hamlin wins the Daytona 500. Kyle Busch accidentally comes in second. Eric Jones third. Joey Logano fourth. Michael McDowell fifth, stopping the proceedings right now. The radio chatter from the Logano team. Why didn't Michael McDowell push me toward the end of the race? I want to hear your answer before I give mine.
Yeah, I was actually watching a little bit of this this past week, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Drew Blickensurfer, I think was on Sirius XM a few days ago, and he said I think the reason why was because McDowell probably wasn't the fastest forward all weekend, and there was times where he wanted to go with somebody, but he just didn't know who he was going to draft with. But I think that small confrontation that him and Logano had, I mean, I wouldn't raise a red flag on it just because you didn't draft anybody. I would probably wave the BS flag because, if you didn't draft anybody, you couldn't even go with anybody. But I don't know. I just think it's kind of odd. But then yet again, I think this is something that Joey shouldn't probably worry about. I mean, yes, even though he didn't win the Daytona 500, I mean, he still gets a top 5 finish out of it.
Right, but at the same time, when you come down to those closing laps, don't worry about why is Michael McDowell not pushing me. You're all going for the same huge trophy. You're going for the same prestige. You're going for the same. Again, we talked about this years past. Every race has a winner. Daytona has a champion. So you're all going for that same championship. You're going for that same prestige. It's not up to Michael McDowell to help Joey Logano. It's up to Michael McDowell to help Michael McDowell. So Michael McDowell did exactly what he should have done. Moving down the list, Ty Dillon finished 6th, Kyle Larson 7th, Ryan Preece 8th, stopping the proceedings right now. Was talking to a friend of mine just a little earlier today about Ryan Preece and his fantastic run. And what my friend Matt said was Ryan Preece must have had KY jelly all over his car because he slid through every major wreck in that race. And if you go back and watch some of these replays, whether they're on YouTube, Fox News, NASCAR.com, whatever, watch Ryan Preece's in-car cam. He was this close to being wrecked 3 times that I could count, and he slipped through every single one. He earned this eighth place finish. Jimmy Johnson 9th and Ross Chastain 10th. We got a page full of notables, so I'm just going to go down the entire running order. Ross Chastain 10th, Alex Bowman 11th, Brad Keselowski 12th, Ricky Stenhouse 13th, Ryan Newman 14th, Parker Kligerman with a surprising 15th, Austin Dillon 16th, Chase Elliott 17th. Corey LaJoie with the bearded Jones car, unfortunately, did not have the greatest day in 18th. BJ McLeod 19th, Clint Boyer 20th. William Byron, who we'll talk about in just a few minutes, in 21st. Jimmy Murray, as we tip our hat, says goodbye to NASCAR in 22nd. Brendan Gaughan, 23rd. Landon Castle, 24th. Kurt Busch, 25th. Kevin Harvick, 26th. Tyler Reddick, 27th. Matt DiBenedetto, we've talked about it before. I'm going to talk again. 28th. Paul Menard, 29th. David Reagan, 30th. Ryan Blaney, 31st. Eric Almirola, 32nd. Daniel Suarez in his first ride in the 41 in the points race, 33rd. Daniel Hemrick, 34th. Martin Truex Jr., 35th. Matt Tiff, 36th. Chris Buescher, 37th. Bubba Wallace, who I had the highest hopes for, unfortunately comes home 38th. Cody Ware, 39th. And Casey Mears rounds out your finishing order in 40th. Give me your happy and give me your sad, and I'm going to give you the picks for the last 2 series.
All right, so my happy for this race would definitely have to go to Ryan Preece. I mean, phenomenal job that this kid did on Sunday, avoiding those 2 big wrecks. Very impressive, and I look to see a lot of great potential out of this kid this year. And I do have to say it's going to be a really tight rookie battle between him and Daniel Hemrick, and I think this is going to be the most exciting rookie battle this season as well. My sad would definitely have to go to Matt DiBenedetto. I mean, like I said before, great car. I mean, probably had maybe a top 5, if not maybe winning car if he hadn't have got caught up in that big wreck right at the end. But I do look to see a lot of big things out of the Levine family racing team this year. And now that they're aligned with Toyota and Joe Gibbs as well, I really think this is going to be a team to watch this season, and hopefully they can get their first career win this year.
Okay, well, I went with the same happy. I got Ryan Preece. Again, KY Jelly Jones. He found a way to sneak through those wrecks and call himself an 8th place finish. Will it be his only top 10 this year? I don't think so. I actually think Ryan Preece is going to see victory lane this year. That's my choice.
Yeah.
I have 2 sads. And they go to the 2 drivers that led the first and the second most laps of the race. My first sad goes to, obviously, my man Guido. Matt DiBenedetto led 49 laps. Honestly, that was the car to beat. That 95 car was so good throughout the body of the race. And to get caught up in a wreck, basically killing his dream. And if you get in that car on the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series and you don't dream of winning Daytona, You're not doing it right. You're not doing it right. So I feel very terrible for Matt DiBenedetto. Mark this down, guys. I'm going to pick a Hendrick driver, and I feel bad for a Hendrick driver, even though I'm very anti-Hendrick. My second sad goes to William Byron. He led 44 laps. Really, that car, that 20. When I'm watching this myself, that it's William Byron and not Jeff Gordon. He ran that race like Gordon ran those races. He is the epitome of what Jeff Gordon was in 95, 96, 97. This kid is going to find Victory Circle this year. Mark my words, William Byron is going to have a win this year. But that's where my second sad goes. And it's unfortunate that he got caught up in a lot of the BS that went on during the race. So before we get to the points, we're going to go back in time to the Xfinity Series. We're going to go back to our picks. Corey took Tyler Reddick as his lock. He finished 9th. He took Jeffrey Earnhardt as his sleeper. He finished 15th. You add that up, it's a total of 24. You divide that by 2, it's a finish of 12. It's simple math, Corey. Don't look like you're kind of trying to figure it out. I'm helping you here.
Yeah.
I took Christopher Bell as my lock. He finished 6th. I took Noah Gragson as my sleeper. He finished 11th. That's a total of 17. You divide that by 2, it's an 8.5. And Chris, yay, gets 2 points on the board for the season championship. Now we're going to go, oh my God. Corey, at no point in the point did we did this week on the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series picks. Remember that.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to start with mine. Let's just do that right now. I took Kevin Harvick as my lock. He finished 26th. I took Martin Truex Jr. as my sleeper. He finished 35th. Oh my God. I picked Daniel Hemrick as my hopeful. He finished 34th. If you add that together, you get 95. You divide that by 3. Seriously, if you divide that by 3, my finish this week was 31.6. I was the Jeff Green of this contest. On the opposite side, I don't remember ever a finish this bad. Corey took Chase Elliott as his lock. He finished 17th. He took Matt DiBenedetto as his sleeper. He finished 28th. He took Eric Almirola as his hopeful. He finished 32nd. You add that together, Corey, your finish was a 77. You divide that by 3. Your finish was a 25.6, making you the Cup Series champion. So,
yay.
Yes, yay indeed, Corey, yay indeed. As we go forward, the current standings on the C+J Speedway review of the year. Corey leads the pack with 4 points. Chris has 2 points. But Daytona is the crapshoot of all crapshoots.
Yeah.
And again, I can say a lot about the racing this weekend. I could say what I liked, what I disliked. You could say the whole thing. At the end of the day, it's Speedweeks. It opens one of my favorite seasons of all time, the longest season of any sport. Enjoy. Now, let's go to the points as we get ready to close this week out. Oh, no, we still have picks to do, don't we?
Yeah, we
Atlanta
do.
is coming
Yep.
up. Oh, we're going to have to fast-track that gimmick. Denny Hamlin leads the way in first. Joey Logano second. Kyle Busch third. Ricky Stenhouse fourth. Eric Jones fifth. Alex Bowman sits in sixth. Kyle Larson finds his way to seventh. Jimmy Johnson eighth. Wow. I just said that out loud after a disappointing 2018. Jimmy Johnson's in the top 10, guys. Celebrate. Michael McDowell 9th, and Ty Dillon is in 10th. Brad Keselowski 11th, Ryan Preece 12th, Chase Elliott 13th, Kevin Harvick 14th, Ryan Blaney 15th, and Clint Boyer rounds out your top 16 in 16th. Wow. What a fantastic weekend of racing we had at Daytona International Speedway. But now we move on. Corey, Tell us where we're going and where we can find it.
So the first race of the weekend, the Xfinity Series will be racing on Saturday as part of race 1 of 2 of the doubleheader this weekend. So Saturday, 2 o'clock Eastern time on FS1. And Chris, I'm sorry to say this, but even though you have Sirius XM Radio, Channel 90, the guys that'll be calling the race radio-wise this weekend is going to be PRN, the Performance Racing Network.
The real voice of NASCAR.
Yeah. So I'm looking on the entry list, and so here's the great news. The great news is we're only going to have one Cup driver racing this weekend in the Xfinity Series, and which will be the 8 of Ryan Preece, who will be driving a selective of Xfinity races for Junior Motorsports this year, driving the 8 car, and the rest you have all the Xfinity regulars. You have Michael Annett, you have Tyler Reddick, Ross Chastain in the 4 car for JD Motorsports, Justin Allgaier, Noah Gragson, Justin Haley, Jeffrey Earnhardt's going to be back in the 18 car, Brandon Jones, Christopher Bell, Austin Cindric, John Hunter Nemechek, Joey Gase, Josh Balicki, Ryan Sieg, Jeremy Clements, Mike Harmon, Brandon Brown, Alex LeBay, Jeff Green, and Chase Briscoe.
Okay. My lock this week is going to be Ross Chastain. After the fantastic weekend he had at Daytona with top 15s all the way across the board, this is a guy I'm going to be keeping my eye on. My sleeper is someone you took as your happy. I'm going to say Jeffrey Earnhardt races. So I think that, as much as Granddad and Uncle ran well at Atlanta, I think Jeffrey Earnhardt is going to find his way into the top 10 at Atlanta this coming weekend.
So my lock for this one is definitely going to be Christopher Bell. And when it comes to Atlanta, and when it's an old, worn-out racing surface, and pretty much you're slipping and sliding the whole entire time, and your tires are shredded mostly, I think this is a kid that that's done a lot of dirt races before. That's won a lot of dirt races. That's won the dirt race at Eldora, I believe, one time. I think Christopher Bell could do it this weekend. I think, he's one of those guys, that knows how to drive a really loose race car, and I wouldn't be too surprised if he gets his first win of the year. My sleeper, as much as I kind of hate doing this, but I'm going to go with the only Cup guy in the field this weekend. My sleeper, I'm going to go with Ryan Preece. I'm really interested to see what he's going to do for the selective races this year for Junior Motorsports, and hopefully he can get his first win, and probably first of how many races he's going to do this year. But like I said, a lot of talent out of Ryan Preece, and I think he's going to be fun to watch.
Okay. Well, we go now to Sunday, Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Timeout.
What did I do?
You forgot the truck. The truck guys are also racing Saturday as well.
No, you forgot the truck guys, and that's why I throw to you every single time. You're fired. Next.
Okay, so this is also race 2 of the weekend on Saturday. So you got the Gander Outdoors Truck Series race right after the Xfinity race, 4:30 on FS1. And, of course, Sirius XM Satellite Radio, Channel 90. And, of course, you also have the Motor Racing Network.
Whatever. I'm not playing this game. No, you guys stole my gimmick. You don't understand how angry I am. Move on.
All right. So, looking at the entry list, the only Cup guy that's going to be running.
How do you laugh at my pain?
Oh my gosh.
Go on. I'm kidding. Go.
All right. So we have only one Cup driver in the field this weekend, and it's going to be Kyle Busch in the 51. So he's going to be making one of the 5 races this year, driving the 51 Cessna Toyota. And other than that, you have also the notables of Sheldon Creed, Apollo. You have Tyler Dipple. You have Jordan Anderson, Todd Gilliland, Norm Benning, Joe Nemechek in the 8 truck this week, Jennifer Joe Cobb, Gus Dean, Johnny Sauter, Austin Hill coming off the win at Daytona. Anthony Alfredo going to be making his Xfinity debut from Ridgefield, Connecticut, driving for David Gilliland Crosby Racing.
Go Fredo.
Yes. You got Harrison Burton, Spencer Boyd, Austin Wayne Self, Brett Moffitt, Brendan Poole, Josh Reum, Timothy Peters, Ross Chastain in the 45. Stuart Friesen, Natalie Decker is going to be in the 54. Bobby Gerhart, Parker Klickerman in the 75. Matt Crafton, Jesse Little in the 97. Grant Infinger, and Ben Rhodes.
All right. I'm taking as my lock Grant Enfinger with second place at Daytona. But up, ran great at Daytona. Didn't lead a single lap, but he was always in the hunt. That's going to be my lock. My sleeper, I got to get some points, guys. I'm already behind the 8 ball after the first week. I'm taking Kyle Busch as my sleeper.
All right. So my lock, it's going to be the same as your sleeper, by the way.
Oh, crying.
So my lock is going to be Kyle Busch. So not only because I do want to see him win, especially when he drives the 51 truck, but I actually want to see him break the record. Now, this one, if he does...
Stop. I'm calling foul. I'm throwing the flag. Timeout, offsides, clipping. The record is between the top 2 series. Back then, it was the Busch, Grand National, Nationwide, Xfinity, Kotex, whatever, and the Cup Series. Kyle Busch is not in danger of breaking the record of Richard Petty because of Truck Series racing. I said it last year, I said it the year before, and I'm going to say it now. If he gets to 201 wins, fantastic for him. Do it on the top 2 series like Richard Petty did. Then you can like this and go, I'm the king. It's a record in name only. I get it. You won more races than anybody else. I get it. Go on.
Well, this is not the 200 record, but so if he does win on Saturday, so if you do remember last year when he won at Pocono, he tied Ron Hornaday on the all-time wins list in the Truck Series at 51 wins. So this is the part where I said I want to see him break the record. So if he wins on Saturday, he will pass Ron Hornaday on the all-time Truck Series list, making him the all-time wins leader, not only in the Xfinity Series, but also in the Gander Outdoor Truck Series as well. So I think Kyle Busch is going to be a one to watch. I won't be surprised if he wins the pole, leads the most laps, and wins the race. And definitely this will be a redemption race for him after what happened last year on the last pit stop when his wheel came off and so forth.
That was heartbreaking.
Yeah, definitely it was. And even gave the crew chief a 3-week vacation. But anywho, Kyle Busch is going to be my lock. My sleeper this weekend, I'm definitely going to go with Anthony Alfredo, who is going to be making his Truck Series debut for David Gilliland Crosby Racing. Now, this is going to be a kid that has raced in the K&N Pro Series before. I think he's won a couple races and so forth. Definitely is going to be fun to watch. And I think this David Gilliland team, I think this is going to be great to watch this year, which you're going to have guys coming up from the K&N series, making their debuts and see how they do in the Truck Series. I think this Alfredo kid, I'm really excited for him to see what he can do.
Well, I have to apologize, and I stand corrected. If the record you're talking about is all-time Truck Series wins, then yes, Corey, I was wrong. I apologize. However, for all of you out there who wave that number 18 flag every Sunday and go, he's the greatest ever and he's going to be the king. No, he's not. Stop it. I'm not playing this game with you. We're not going to have to go through the semantics every single effing week and talk about how he is not surpassing the king. But if it's about the Truck Series, Corey, I stand corrected. You are right.
Yes.
Now, because you forgot the Truck Series, and now we had to do it now my points are going to be all screwed up. However, the Cup Series Sunday, Hotlanta, Georgia. Tell us about it.
All right, so Sunday you have the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500 on Fox, 2 o'clock Eastern Time, and of course, Sirius XM Channel 90, which is the NASCAR radio, and unfortunately, you have the PRN, the Performance Racing Network.
Yay.
But anywho,
my heart is broken.
Oh my gosh. Come on, Chris.
After 2 years, you haven't figured out my humor yet.
Come on, Chris. You know you want to say it.
PRN?
No, MRN.
I can't. It's PRN this weekend. I can't say it.
Okay. All right. Well, next MRN race, you'll get to say it.
Maybe. Maybe. I'm still hurting. Go ahead. Give us the entry list.
Okay, so pretty much the same as usual. You have Kurt Busch, you have Brad Keselowski, Austin Dillon, last year's winner Kevin Harvick, Ryan Newman, Daniel Hemrick, Chase Elliott, Eric Almirola, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Ty Dillon, Clint Boyer, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Eric Jones, Paul Menard, Joey Logano, William Byron, Corey LaJoie, Michael McDowell, Matt Tifft, Chris Buescher, David Reagan, Daniel Suarez, Kyle Larson, Bubba Wallace, Ryan Preece, Jimmy Johnson, Alex Bowman, Matt DiBenedetto, and Parker Kligerman.
All right, I'm going to let you lead off the picks on the Cup race because you are, right now, the points leader by 2 points in the T-shirt challenge.
Okay, so my lock for this weekend, as much as a guy that dominated on the mile and a half last year, I'm going to have to give it to Kevin Harvick. I mean, that's just probably one driver that I was thinking about all week. And the fact that, he won last year's race, I really think he's going to get his first win of the year. And, hopefully he can have that mile and a half dominance that he had a year ago. My sleeper, as much as I want to pick him, as much as, it's going to be kind of fun to watch, but my sleeper this weekend, I'm going to have to go with Martin Truex Jr. I really want to see what he does in that 19 car this year. And, even though this is race 2, that he's with Joe Gibbs, I hope this team can be strong off the bat, win a couple of races this year and hopefully be a championship contender this season.
And you're hopeful. It's the Cup Series. Remember, we get 3 picks.
All right. And my hopeful, as much as pretty much being the hometown favorite, I'm going to go with Chase Elliott.
Okay. Well, we only mirrored one pick. My lock is going to be, like you said, multiple-time Atlanta winner. He's amazing on the mile and a half. Going with Kevin Harvick as my lock. My sleeper, as much as it pains me to say it, I'm picking him twice in the same week. It hurts against my religion, but the guy you have to think about behind Kevin Harvick or on the same level as Kevin Harvick is Kyle Busch. So I'm putting Kyle Busch in the sleeper pick. My hopeful, and you guys have heard me say it over and over ad nauseum, momentum, momentum, momentum. My sleeper for Atlanta is going to be Matt DiBenedetto. I think that 95 prove, having led 49 laps in the Daytona 500, having had their shot at immortality taking away from them, I think Matt DiBenedetto has a lot to prove going forward this Sunday, and I'm going to be cheering hard. I'm going to be wearing my number 4 gear, T-shirt, hat, what have you. But that 95 team, right here in the heart, I'm hoping for a great weekend from Matt DiBenedetto.
Definitely.
All right, so Corey, tell me what you have to pimp, plug, or otherwise push upon the people, because I have a list of things that I need to do when you're done.
Okay, so I'm going to get to the C+J Speedway review. Make sure you guys follow us on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe, hit the bell. You'll get notifications on when we go live and when we're uploaded. And, And we need more subscribers too. We're up to like 46 right now. So if you have a friend that is into NASCAR, tell them about our show. We're a 1 hour show every week. And, we talk mostly NASCAR if you guys are into that. Facebook, be sure to search us up, C+J Speedway Review. Twitter, we are at CJ_Speedway. Instagram, we are at CJ Speedway. And then, of course, for my personal, my racing pages for the Rowdy Burns Facebook pages. So Facebook, I am at Rowdy Burns K1 Racer. Instagram, I am at Rowdy Burns 51 Racer. Snapchat, Rowdy 51 K1 Racer 1. And Twitter, which I have up on the screen right now. Twitter, I am at Rowdy 51 Racer, and in a couple weeks, I'm going to be racing at the Apex Entertainment Center in Marlboro, so I'm really excited about that. And as much as Chelsea, even though I love you, even though Chelsea's nickname is Danica7, which of course, she's been bragging that she's going to kick my butt every time in go-karting, which I really don't think so. So that's pretty much how I got in store, and I'm really excited. And also I got my T-shirt, Rowdy represent, and yeah, honestly, like I almost have everything like Rowdy Burns like related, because even though it's one of my favorite movies, I still have to admit, the 51 Exxon car is probably one of my favorite race cars there is.
All right, you have to excuse me. I'm texting my lawyer right now. Not only did you steal my MRN gimmick, but you stole my last name, and you're going out as Rowdy Burns, where my name is Chris Burns, and I'm just trying to find out how much money I can get from you going forward. But said that, good luck going forward. I will say this: when you race against Chelsea, Tzatziki Sauce, Gimmick Jones, I'm rooting for Chelsea. I really want her to bring you back down to a level where you understand that we're all human and you can be beat. And eventually, you and I are going to have match race with Eddie Focus, with Loki from the Loki and Jabroni show. We'll bring people upon people. If you finish first, I tip my hat. If you don't, well, then we'll figure it out from there. But yes, everything that Corey said is 1,000% true. Follow us on every outlet you can find. Tell your friends who love NASCAR to follow us. It's a great show. This is a fan's perspective. We are not Bobby Labonte. We are not Shannon Spake, although Shannon might be my new boo. I can't tell you here, there, or otherwise, but boy, was she dressed fantastically for Daytona. Oh, my Lord, Shannon, thank you. Anyway, I want to put out a couple things about the other podcasts that we do here on the Focus Digital Network. This coming Monday, February 25th, I'm going to show you this book. It's called Start with a Dream. If you're on YouTube right now, you're looking at it. This is Joey Casada. He's become a great friend of mine. He is a famous drummer. He played in a band called ZO2 and many others. Not only is he a TV star, if you were a fan of the Independent Film Channel back in the day, there was a show called Z-Rock that he was a part of. Not only is he a Broadway musician with The Great Comet of 1812, he's also a huge wrestling fan, which if you go to YouTube, you can find Wrestling with Joey Licious on YouTube. It's a fantastic thing, and we've got him this week on the Loki and Jabroni show. Now, I'm going to flip through this book real quick. I want to show you a picture. And this might be my favorite picture of all time. Work with me here. There was a time when ZO2 went on tour with Kiss. And if anybody has followed me for, 8, 12, 19 seconds, you'll know I'm a huge Kiss fan. You might be cool, but you're not playing wiffle ball with Kiss cool like Joey Casada. Paul Stanley swinging a bat. Gene Simmons swinging a bat. Joey Casada, this Monday, special Monday edition. We usually record on Tuesdays. Special Monday edition of the Loki and Jabroni show with Joey Casada. Also, And Corey, I hope you and Tzatziki Sauce come down on April 7th for the WrestleMania party at the Deck in Westbrook, Connecticut. This is going to be our most fantastic outing that we've ever done for two reasons. One, the Deck is putting on wing specials, drink specials. Obviously, if you're a wrestling fan, I don't know if Captain Car Wash or any of the other guys that you hang out with are wrestling fans. Even if you're not, come down and join the festivities. We do a live stream during the pay-per-view, and we talk to everybody. We bring people in, we step aside, people sit in my chair, Mike's chair, whomever's chair, and we just talk and we have a good time. But go ahead.
Oh, and I hate to cut you off.
What were you gonna say?
So my friend doesn't do car washes anymore.
He doesn't wash cars?
No, so now he's a I believe Lyft driver. Yeah. So now he mostly does Lyft. So yeah, he shut down his car wash business, or I should say, detailing business a few weeks ago.
All right. Well, to you, I cracked this. Here, look, Captain Car Wash. You'll always be Captain Car Wash in my book. However, good job on your new endeavor going forward. If you want to come down to the Deck in Westbrook, Connecticut, text myself or Corey or send us a message on Facebook. Get the address, Westbrook, Connecticut, the Deck. For the first time ever since we've been doing live gigs, I usually do the trivia contest. This is where everything's going to change. Loki is going to do the trivia contest, and I'm going to be out there amongst the people with a championship belt on my shoulder. And if I lose, I will gladly give that championship belt to the winner of the trivia contest. This is going to be fun. Even if you dislike wrestling, if you watch it when you were a kid, if you're like, oh, I only like Bruno Sammartino, Bob Backlund, or Triple H, or whomever. It's a party. We always have a good time. We have raffles. We have the trivia contest, drink specials. The Deck gives away a $50 gift card for our trivia contest every single year. So, get our gift card, get the championship belt, get whatever you got going on. Now, the last thing I want to pimp, and Speed Freaks, if you've been following us, you saw this on our Facebook page. Last week, we launched, finally, after months of very hard work by Eddie Focus, My Journey with Music, which is my music podcast, which is me giving you the mixtape of my life, and I'm so proud of it. This coming week, we're recording bumpers. It's going to be every 2 weeks. It's going to be what I call the ABCs of me, which is I'm going to take every letter of the alphabet and give you a song by every band I've ever seen. I've been to over 400 concerts in my life. I'm going to give you one from each letter. And if I haven't seen a band from that letter, I'm going to give you a favorite song. Eddie said to me, what are you going to do when you get to X? Well, you're going to find out. This is very personal. If you didn't listen to the first episode, I will share it on the C+J Speedway Review Facebook page. I'm sure Corey will dig some of the songs. I know, Corey, you're a country fan?
I usually like country, but then yet again, I also like different genres as well, like whatever's in my mood and stuff.
Well, I threw 3 country songs on the first episode. So I will send that link out, and hopefully you will join me on my journey through life. A day without music is not a day worth living. So I'm very passionate about this project. Not that I'm not passionate about this, but it's equal. I love the racing bit. I love the Loki and Jabroni show bit. And now with My Journey with Music, there's just something more for me to tap my creativity into. So Corey, if you would, my friend, give them the most famous words in racing history as we read out and say, next week, we'll come back with you for Atlanta.
All right. Good night.